The week of the 2026 NFL Draft is finally here, and the air is thick with anticipation. What will the Dallas Cowboys do with their 8 picks, particularly their 2 first-round selections? As fans, we've been waiting for months, sifting through rumors and speculation, eager to see how our beloved team plans to bolster its roster. Comment below on where you're watching from and what you think the Cowboys should do. The first round is where the magic happens, and the Cowboys' most pressing need lies on the defensive side of the ball. Experts are buzzing about potential trade scenarios, especially a jump from the number 12 pick. This isn't just a matter of making a move. It's a necessity if the Cowboys want to land a player who can make an immediate impact on defense. The stakes are high, and Dallas must be aggressive. One intriguing scenario has the Cowboys packaging picks numbers 12 and 20 to trade up to number 6 with the Cleveland Browns. This move would allow Dallas to grab linebacker Sonny Styles, a blue-chip prospect who is not only an immediate starter, but could also wear the green dot on defense, signaling plays and filling the critical void next to DeMarvion Overshown. It's a trade that makes sense on many levels. Not only do the Cowboys get a player who fits their defensive scheme perfectly, but they also receive pick number 39 in return, which would help offset the loss of 2 first-rounders. However, a question lingers. Will the Browns be willing to part with their 6th pick for this package? The Cowboys need to be shrewd in negotiations, as they can't afford to overpay for a move that could be the difference between a solid draft and a disastrous one. This trade-up strategy is echoed by multiple analysts who see the potential for the Cowboys to address one of their biggest needs while also gaining a second-round pick. Yet, not every mock draft aligns with this aggressive approach. Some analysts propose that Dallas should stand pat at number 12 and trade back from number 20 to number 24, also with the Browns. The logic here is that they could still snag Styles at 12, but let's be real, there was never a realistic chance Styles would fall that far. With the New York Giants recently trading Dexter Lawrence for the number 10 pick, it's almost certain they will pounce on Styles if he's available. The Cowboys cannot afford to sit back and watch a top-tier prospect slip through their fingers. One name that has emerged as a viable option if Dallas stays at number 12 is cornerback Chris Johnson. His stock has skyrocketed during the pre-draft process, and he possesses the versatility to play on the boundary or in the slot. He's an intriguing prospect that offers depth to a secondary that has shown vulnerability in recent seasons. However, the question remains, will he be enough to satisfy the Cowboys' needs? In another scenario, we see the Cowboys trading up again, this time holding on to their number 20 pick while dealing a 3rd-round selection and a 2nd-rounder from 2027 to move up. This option addresses both linebacker and cornerback needs, but it carries its own risks, particularly with Jermyn McCoy coming off a torn ACL. The injury raises red flags, and while the potential is there, the Cowboys must tread carefully to avoid gambling too heavily on a player whose health is uncertain. Then, there's the ambitious trade that would see the Cowboys leap all the way to number 3 with the Arizona Cardinals to snag edge rusher David Bailey. This is the kind of bold move that could pay off in spades, given that Bailey could provide the opposite presence to Rashawn Gary on the edge, which has been a glaring need for Dallas. However, the cost of such a leap could be astronomical. The Cowboys might have to part with their 2027 first-round pick and the number 6 selection, and that could leave them in a precarious position moving forward, especially in a draft class that is expected to be stronger next year. Another exciting yet costly scenario involves trading both first-round picks for safety Caleb Downs, who is seen as a potential generational talent. Downs not only fills a need at safety, but also offers the versatility to play as a slot cornerback. While this move could elevate the Cowboys' defense significantly, the reality is that giving up 2 first-rounders for a safety might be too steep a price, no matter how talented he is. As we look ahead to the draft, the Dallas Cowboys stand at a crossroads. They have the opportunity to reshape their roster with impactful players that could turn the tide for their defense. But with great opportunities come significant risks, and the front office must navigate these waters with strategic precision. The countdown is on, and we are about to witness the next chapter in Cowboys history unfold. What will they choose? The fans are on the edge of their seats, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Now, let's dive into the next news item as we unravel more twists and turns leading up to the draft. The clock is ticking as the Cowboys gear up for the 2026 NFL Draft, and the linebacker position is an area that simply can't be overlooked. As we dive into the complexities of the upcoming draft, the Cowboys must tread carefully. They cannot afford to wait until day 3 to address this critical need. Yet the unpredictable nature of the draft means they could find themselves in that very position. So, where are you watching from? And what are your thoughts on the Cowboys linebacker situation? Let's break it down. The Dallas Cowboys attempted to bolster their linebacker core last year, swinging for the fences with trades for Kenneth Murray and Logan Wilson. Unfortunately, those moves were colossal misfires. Both players failed to leave a mark on the roster, with Murray still lingering in free agency and Wilson opting for retirement. This failure has left the Cowboys in a precarious spot next to DeMarvion Overshown, who now finds himself as a key piece in the defensive puzzle. The front office must recognize the urgency here. Not only do they need a starting linebacker, but they also need someone capable of wearing the green dot, essentially the defensive play caller. This leads us to the intriguing prospect of Jimmy Rolder from Michigan. ESPN's Mel Kiper has lauded Rolder as his favorite linebacker in this draft class. Standing at 6'3" and weighing 238 pounds, Rolder possesses the versatility and speed that could make him a significant asset for the Cowboys. Kiper emphasizes Rolder's ability to diagnose plays, his burst to drop into coverage, and, importantly, his tackling skills. Rolder's Pro Football Focus grade of 80.1 last season showcases his potential in both run defense and pass coverage. Can you imagine the Cowboys landing a prospect like him in round 4 with the 112th pick? It could be a steal, especially if the Cowboys find themselves without a top-tier linebacker earlier in the draft. However, the harsh reality is that relying on a rookie for such an important role could be risky. The Cowboys must weigh their options carefully. A veteran presence alongside Overshown could provide the stability and experience necessary to guide a younger player through the rigors of the NFL. If the Cowboys fail to secure a standout linebacker prospect like Sonny Styles earlier in the draft, Rolder could end up being the best option available on day 3. The Cowboys' defense last season finished in the bottom tier for run defense and struggled to generate pressure on opposing quarterbacks, finishing with only 35 sacks. Thus, any addition to the linebacking core must possess the ability to rush the passer and defend against the run. Rolder's speed is an enticing prospect in this regard, and he wouldn't just be another body on the field. He could elevate the entire defense. As we look ahead to the draft, the Cowboys find themselves at a crossroads. They need to be strategic, ensuring they don't reach for a player just to check a box. But if they find themselves staring down the barrel of day 3 without a linebacker, Jimmy Rolder could be the silver lining that Dallas needs to transform this defense into a formidable unit. The draft may be unpredictable, but with smart decisions and a bit of luck, the Cowboys can finally shore up a position that has been a glaring weakness for far too long. Stay tuned as we continue to delve into more critical aspects of the Cowboys' offseason strategy. As the countdown to the 2026 NFL Draft approaches, all eyes are turning to the potential impact players for the Dallas Cowboys. One name that is generating significant buzz is Tennessee cornerback Jerman McCoy. The anticipation surrounding McCoy makes sense. He's widely regarded as one of the elite cornerbacks in this draft class, second only to LSU's Mansour Delane in the eyes of many experts. But here's the crux of the conversation. Can the Cowboys afford to take a chance on a player who has been sidelined due to injury? This is where the debate intensifies. McCoy's talent is undeniable, but the shadow of his torn ACL suffered during the team's bowl game last season looms large. While he dazzled at his pro day, showcasing his potential, the lingering concern is whether the Cowboys are willing to take a risk on a player still recovering from such a serious injury. Notably, insider Brian Broaddus has voiced skepticism about McCoy fitting into the Cowboys' plans, emphasizing the injury as a significant factor in their decision-making process. And Broaddus isn't alone. Bleacher Report's Alex Ballantyne echoes these sentiments, suggesting that while McCoy could be a solid pick under different circumstances, the timing just doesn't align with the Cowboys' current trajectory. After investing in East Carolina cornerback Siobhan Revel, who is also recovering from a torn ACL, the Cowboys should tread carefully. Ballantyne argues that the team has pressing needs elsewhere and should prioritize a player who can contribute immediately, especially if both Delane and Caleb Downs are off the board by their pick. This brings us to the broader picture of the Cowboys' defensive needs. With multiple gaps across the roster, Dallas finds itself at a crossroads with their two first-round picks. At number 12 overall, the emphasis must be on securing a player who can step into the spotlight and deliver from day one. One potential candidate that could fit this bill perfectly is Miami defensive end Ruben Bain Jr., initially projected as a top 10 pick. Bain is now facing scrutiny regarding his measurables, which could leave him available for the Cowboys. If the draft unfolds in a way that pits McCoy against Bain, the safest and most prudent choice for Dallas would undoubtedly be Bain. The Cowboys have a track record of success in round one, identifying players who can make an immediate impact. Since 2020, they've hit on names like C.D. Lamb, Tyler Smith, Tyler Guyton, and Tyler Booker, all of whom stepped in and contributed right away. The only blip on their radar has been the trade of defensive tackle Motzie Smith to the Jets. But even with that misstep, the Cowboys have demonstrated their ability to find starters in the first round. As we gear up for the draft, the Cowboys sit on the precipice of a pivotal decision. Will they gamble on McCoy's talent despite the injury risks? Or will they play it safe and opt for the more reliable Bain? This decision could very well define the trajectory of their upcoming season. Fans, where are you watching from? What do you think about the possibility of the Cowboys selecting McCoy versus Bain? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. As we close this analysis, let's remember that the choices made in these upcoming rounds can set the tone for not just the next season, but potentially for years to come. The Cowboys have the opportunity to bolster their defense and continue their journey toward reclaiming their place as contenders in the league. If you appreciate in-depth analysis and want to stay updated on all things Cowboys, make sure to subscribe and share your opinions on this crucial draft moment for America's team.